Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Hey. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the mates. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting, and the host of Real Conversations. For those of you who are new to my platform, I started Real Conversations back in 2020 during the pandemic and all other things that were going on that were crazy at that time. So I've been going for 4 years, and this podcast covers a variety of topics with the goal, hold on, with the goal that something shared you'll be able to apply in your life and in support of others. But like every educational program, I do encourage folks to do your homework. And tonight's episode, it's a conversation that I wanted to have, particularly as part of this SisterChat series, because a lot of women, especially Black women, we struggle with our hair, right? We struggle with our hair. And a lot of times, what we do with our hair is out of convenience, to be honest with you. It's to be of ease. But there's times where we're just being creative because that's how we flow, right? But we'll talk a little bit about that. But my main goal for this conversation is to ensure that we don't get so caught up in our hair that we don't realize who we are, the queens that we are, and understand that we are talented and gifted, and what our hair looks like really should not matter at the end of the day. So I have joining me 3 sisters who are part of my circle, who I have seen do a lot of different things with their hair, and we're going to talk about our journeys. And I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. So first up is Thais. How are you?
Hello. Thank you, Michelle, for having me.
Hello. And listen, can you talk about just talk about yourself and then one word to describe your hair journey?
Sure. I'm an educator. I teach high school. Been teaching for about 30 years now. I'm also a doula. I'm a semi-herbalist. The one word that I would describe with my hair journey is probably adjusting.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll give you a chance to talk about that hair journey and why you chose that word in a minute. Next up, Siobhan. Hey, Siobhan.
Hey everyone. So my name is Siobhan. Live in Indianapolis, Indiana, but from New York City. I work in the nonprofit sector, and my one word would be evolution.
Evolution.
Yes.
Okay. And I'll have you talk about your word in a second. And I'm letting my hairstylist get adjusted. Shannon, can you hear me? We see you in the background. I know she just walked into her house show, so I'm letting her get adjusted. Give me the thumbs up when you're ready, Shannon. Okay. All right. Shannon.
Hi, ladies. I'm Shannon.
Hi. How are
Shannon
you?
Williams. So far, so good.
Good. So tell people about yourself.
Okay, so I've been doing hair for a license with about almost 15 years now. I'm a mother, wife. Um, as you can see, I wear hair color, so I'm really spontaneous.
Mhm.
And I'm a lover of fun and hair care. Like I really specialize in taking good care of your hair.
Yeah, and we're gonna leverage your expertise toward the end of the podcast of this live stream. But one word you would use to describe yourself in terms of your hair journey?
I would say detoured.
Detoured. Okay. We'll
Detoured,
talk a
yes.
little bit about that. I decided, I was telling Thais and Siobhan when they were on, I decided to used some hairspray, some color hairspray. Shannon was my colorist when I decided to play a little bit with the platinum. And I found out that wasn't about that life in terms of getting my hair colored every 4 weeks. So a friend introduced me to hair color. So I was like, okay. And in honor of this podcast, I'll just go ahead and this live stream, I'll just go ahead and color it up just a little bit.
Okay.
But anyway, ladies, so let's talk about your journeys. Thais, why don't we start with you? What has your journey? Talk a little bit about your journey, and then what has your journey taught you about yourself?
Sure. Well, my grandmother was a beautician, so I grew up basically living in the beauty parlor with her and seeing her do hair and weaves and perms and, you know, the straightening cone and all the DAX and all that good stuff, right? We grew up with. And so, I mean, I had a nice braid of hair. Now I realized I had a nice braid of hair. There was nothing wrong with my hair, but everybody had a perm.
Yeah.
And I've been grandmother for about 3 years to get a perm until I wore her down and she finally gave me the perm. So I was like, oh yeah, now my hair is bouncing and behaving. And I was feeling real good. I was like, I can go to the pool now and I can just get out the water and it can just be straight and I don't have any problems. So I went through, I cut my hair. My hair was in the middle of my back. And one day I was just like, oh, I want something new. So I knew my grandmother wasn't going to cut it because I asked her and she said no. So I went elsewhere with my best friend and we decided we're going to cut all our hair off. We're going to get this short style. We're going to look like Shannon and we're going to be great. Well, I cut all my hair off and my best friend, she reneged. She got half of her hair, the front cut short and then the back was long, that style from back in the day. And I looked at her like, yo, I thought we was partners in crimes. And I went to see my grandmother and my grandmother was not happy. So I had to find another stylist.
Yeah.
And so I had the hard curls. I had the waterfalls. I had every color you could imagine. Blue, black, burgundy, red. I had everything. I'm surprised my hair didn't fall out. And then one day, you know, as I got older, I was like, you know, let me try going natural. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to cut the perm out. I'm just going to grow it out. And that took forever. And by the time my hair was natural, I didn't know what to do with it. And so I tried every product. I tried the creams to make it curly. I tried the gels to make it curly. I spent so much money in products that I just decided something has to give. And so I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to shave my head. And then I'm going to get this fabulous style and get these long braids at the top, right? With the waterfall coming over. And so I didn't go to my normal braid person. So I asked a very good friend of mine, I said, hey, I need somebody in a crunch because it was New Year's Eve. I don't know what I was thinking. So I went to somebody new, which I probably should have never had done. And then the hairstyle was wonderful. I was looking dope. I was feeling good about myself until my head started itching. So I figured maybe it was just too tight, right? And so I said, I've been through this road before, getting braids is a little bit too tight. It wasn't tight. My head was on fire. And so on the braiding hair, the Kankalan, I think that's what it's called, there's a chemical on it, right? And I probably have used that hair 100 times with my original braider, who I did not go to. And I broke out. I broke out so bad that I had to take the braids out. I had to go to the dermatologist. My head was inflamed, so I had to take medication. I had to take antibiotics. And then I had to have like a liquid solution to put on the top of my head. So my head would stop burning. And so my hair, it burnt out my hair follicles.
Oh, wow.
So, it burnt out the sides of my head and it burnt out the top. And so I didn't have a choice. I literally had to cut all my hair off. And it took me a minute to go bald, but I didn't have a choice. I think I cried my eyes out probably for a good month or so because I was mad at India RE. I was like, Miss, I am my hair.
Yeah.
I am totally my hair, ma'am. I don't even know why that song, I was mad at that whole song. And I love Indie Ari. I was like, I am my hair. So it took me a long time to get, I use the word adjusting.
Yeah.
And so there are days when I'm rocking the baldie and I'll be like, oh, I look good. Because, I pop on my lashes. I also have alopecia.
Yeah.
And so alopecia on top of all of that, the chemical that was on the hair, that just added to, I guess, my grief at the time. I was getting shots in my head and I don't have eyebrows. I don't have a whole lot of eyelashes. And so I had to pivot and I had to adjust my thinking. Like, okay, you still a baddie. You just don't have no hair.
Right.
And so now what are you going to do? So put on that pop of lipstick, go and buy you a gazillion pairs of eyelashes, and I want them long, and throw in some big earrings, and you're going to have to just rock it. And so there are days when I am feeling really good about the bald head. And there are days when I'm still adjusting. Because I could do without the eyebrows and I could throw on some lashes, but there are days where I do miss my hair. I thought I would never ever wear wigs. So I started buying wigs. And I was like, oh, I look pretty good in these wigs. But it's just the adjustment period. I have my days when I'm feeling really good about myself. And then there are days when I'm not feeling good about myself because I'm looking at all my old pictures that pop up on Facebook, that are in my phone, that people send me. And I have all of this hair.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it just depends on my mood and depends on the day.
Yeah.
It's convenient because I just get up and throw some coconut oil on it.
Yes.
Olive oil or almond oil, and I'm out the door. So convenience that's a beautiful thing to be bald-headed. And I have a wonderful barber now. He is fantastic. He takes very good care of my head. And he's always giving me affirmations, and he's always, just speaking life into the atmosphere. And that's why I really enjoy going to him and having conversations just about hair and about being bald-headed. And I get compliments all the time.
It is because it's now. It's the style. People are wearing it now. Because even when I cut my hair, and I'll talk about my journey in a minute. I've talked a little bit about it on my Facebook page, but your story is one of again with not again, Black women and our hair. We can do so much with it. One, our textures are very different, right? And we experiment with our hair. And a lot of times people don't understand that even some of the styles that we wear are considered protective styles because our hair can be, it's a journey. And I'd say it's not for the weak in terms of keeping our hair, wearing our hair natural. And Shannon, I want you to talk a little bit about what's considered natural hair, because I think a lot of people who are not African American, when they hear natural, they probably like, what are y'all talking about? Right? When we talk about natural hair, right? So
go
ahead, Shannon.
What we consider as cosmetologists, anything that's not chemically treated, so no color, no texturizer, just completely as it grows from your scalp. That's what we call completely natural. And I hate that we have to go by the term natural. Like, I feel like we're the only community that has to use that to wear our hair. That really, I really feel like that's a problem.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, because it's part of our journey, and probably part of the journey of many, especially our young girls, because I hate seeing the stories of young girls going to school and they're being taunted because of how they're wearing their hair, and their hair is natural. This is how their hair is,
This is
right?
how it grows from my
This
body.
is how it grows, right? And I tell people, if you saw my post earlier today, you saw one where I had an afro. That was my natural hair, right? My hair is not naturally straight. Very few of us have naturally straight hair, unless you're have some heavy European mix in you, Asian mix, Indian mix. That is not, for the majority of us, that is not our hair, right? Siobhan, can you talk about your journey, please?
Oh, I don't even know where to start. So
Uh-huh.
I would say, growing up, my mom was very old school when it came to my hair. So when I say that, she didn't believe in a blow dryer, flat
Mm-hmm.
iron, hot comb, no nothing. So she would wash my hair and then put it in plaits so it can air dry, and then comb it out once it's finished air dry. This takes like a whole day, probably the whole
Mm-hmm.
weekend, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll take out the braids and then quote unquote style my hair. Whatever that may be, that was the style. So it could be I had like two braids here, like as if it was a bang, and you put the barrette there and then a puff. That was all of school. I wore
Mm-hmm.
puff all the way to like my sophomore year of high school.
How about the split? How about the part down the middle with the two ponytails? I think that was
Yes,
one of
I
the
did that
styles. All of
too.
us wore
Or I had
that.
a lot of bobos.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything. I remember one school picture. She forgot that it was picture day, and this day she decided to put all these different color barrettes and bobos in my hair. And when I got to school, they was like, "Oh, today's picture day," and I'm like, "Oh my god, my hair looks crazy," because your mom just put whatever she got
Mm-hmm.
in your
Mm-hmm.
hair. So I
Mm-hmm.
messed up the picture on purpose. So I ended up smiling, but it showed like all my gums. So I did like this. And that was that was the last package of pictures she ever bought because I
Mm-hmm.
messed it up. But I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you knew it was picture day. Like, how did you forget it was picture day? So I just remember just even growing up in Harlem, and when you go on 125th Street, everyone is like, "Oh, can I braid your hair?" And my mom was like, "No, I do her hair." And I would
Mm-hmm.
say that my mom was natural for a long time. She even had locks as well when
Mm-hmm.
I was growing up. So when I use the word evolution, is because I changed my hair a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then even during that time period of like me getting a perm, the day that she said, "Oh, I can get a perm," and I was like, "What? I can get a perm? Like, thank you. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for saying that I can get one."
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got it, I went to the lady who gave her a perm. And I remember before I even got a perm, I went to, I think it was like prom for like seventh grade or whatever the case may be. And I remember going to this older lady who did my hair that used to do my mom's hair. And she had her curling iron. It was old school curling iron because it was in like this metal
Mm-hmm.
plate.
The one you put on the one you put in the plate. I know at
Yeah,
home they put it on a stove,
yeah,
right?
that one too.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
none of that ever lasted for me because it could last like a good hour, and guess what? Everything would poof up. But I thank God that she didn't have me get a perm when I was younger, because she
Mm-hmm.
would say, "I don't need you to be out here looking like these other bald-headed kids," because
Mm-hmm.
kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they're getting perms.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't understand, like, okay, why can I not get a perm? I want my hair straight.
Well,
And
and what people don't understand, well, maybe now they understand.
yeah.
Because I had a perm. I got my perm when I was in college. My
Hmm.
mom also was a hairstylist. But I mean, it's lye. It was basically lye
Yeah,
that we were putting in our hair to get our hair straight,
straight. Mhm.
right? So, and if you weren't doing it, getting it done professionally, you better pray they took it out quick enough that your
Yes,
scalp and your hair, you didn't lose your
didn't
hair,
burn.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty much my journey. It's been up and down, but I remember when I first washed my hair after getting a perm, I said, "Oh my god, what is this?" Because
Mhm,
it was super straight and I had no curls whatsoever. So I just,
mhm,
anytime I went to the beauty salon, I would just say, "Oh, when you take the rollers out, just blow dry, like just blow my roots," because I
mhm.
still wanted my curls. So
Right,
yeah.
right. And the funny thing about the straight hair, because we would get it straight, but we still had to manipulate our hair because if you wanted it curly or you wanted to do something, you're putting more heat on it to style it, right? I mean, they had rollers and stuff like that, but it was I call it compounded damage because you had the lye, then you had the heat, then you had, all the kinds of stuff just so we could look good. And we did, we looked good. Shannon, your journey.
So I would say my journey was detoured, being that for probably the first 20 plus years of my life, I wore my hair very conservative, right? My mom was a firm believer in going to the hair salon, straight, well managed, there was not a lot of flexibility. Then I went to
Hmm.
college. I got a little bit of freedom, but I had to get a corporate job. So of course I had to be within their restrictions and their guidelines. So once I figured out, hey, this is not really where I want to be. I don't want to work here for forever. I knew in high school that I wanted to be a hairstylist, but the path that my mom chose for me, I had to go to college and, work in the private sector. So
Mhm.
I say it's detour because I couldn't start what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. So I
Okay.
did all the things, went to school, went to work. Again, my hair is real. The most I had was maybe a few highlights, and that
Okay.
was I was in my 20s. But once
Okay.
I finished hair school, I literally got my first haircut in hair school. Chopped, I had long hair past my shoulders, chopped it up to about ear length. My teacher gave me this cute bob, and I have been cutting my hair ever since.
Mhm.
Color, cuts. Now, was all of this time I was relaxer treated, and I would say probably within the last year or so, I've transition to doing natural style. So I'm actually natural all over. I just still go back and forth. I wear it straight more often than not,
Mhm.
but I do
Mhm.
have the curls and stuff, and I play around with it because I have to learn and get adjusted to what works for my curls because I've been
Right.
relaxed for forever. So that's
Yeah.
why I would say my journey was detoured to where
Yeah.
I can actually do what I want when I want now.
Yeah. And for me, I guess the word I would just call my journey just practical. I mean, when I think about for me, from and my mom, she straightened out. She didn't allow us to get our hair permed either, right? But she did, hot iron on the stove, made it straight. Some days we were wearing afro puffs, some days we were wearing afro. But when I got to high school, I was wearing it straight, just wearing it in a ponytail. But I've always thought it was just practical. And for me, going moving over to live base in college, it was just I was so busy that I could not keep up with my hair, right? So I remember just asking my mom, "Look, can I get a perm?" And she finally allowed me to do it, but it was mainly for ease. I mean, even when I did that, it was for ease. And then working in the corporate environment, I don't remember seeing too many people who had more natural hair. Now we're talking about the early 80s at that time. Wasn't seeing a lot of people in corporate America. I remember doing an internship for Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, doing a summer internship while in college. And the head of HR, who was a Black woman, did have an afro. So I was kind of shocked. She was like my first VP in HR, and she's the reason why I changed my major to work in HR. But beyond that, I worked for an investment bank. Did not see anybody, to my knowledge, who had natural hair. Everybody wore their hair straight. So for me, I think my journey was just very practical. Even when I decided to lock my hair, I was just tired of doing my hair. I was tired of straightening my hair, tired of getting my hair permed, and decided to go the lock route because I knew at that point was like, okay, well, every 8 weeks or so, I go get it twisted. And me having a mama as a hairstylist, I learned how to do a lot of things myself. So once I learned how to do it myself, it was just easy for me, right? And my bald journey, and I think I told this story on my timeline. It just literally, I was having a hot flash while working out. Didn't know I was having a hot flash, but literally came home after the trainer was like, "Miss Michelle, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm okay." But I'm like, "I'm not doing this. I can't deal with this hair thing." And literally went home and cut off all my hair. And it's been straight since. Right. But I think our stories just goes to show just again how we are able to do different things with our hair, yet the impact that our hairstyles may have had on us were different. And Thais, for you, losing your hair, right, because of damage and protective styles, and we tried different things. And Shannon, I wanted to talk a little bit about the protective styles and how we take care of that in a minute. But let's talk about how has your hair journey shaped who you are today? Has it shaped who you are today? Who wants to go
Is that
first?
for me first?
Whoever wants to go first. Shannon, you can go first.
I would say the hair journey, of course, Now I would say it actually contributes, right? Because I'm in the industry, you basically attract what you wear. So from
Mm-hmm.
this point in my life, from say 12 years ago, I realized that if I wear straight hair and dark hair, which is, natural color, I attracted more of the clients that wanted that look. When I started to
Mm.
color my hair, especially the vibrant colors, and when I got the hair cut, I started to attract more clients that want color, whether it be vibrant colors or any color, because now they trust, especially when they ask, oh, did you do your own color? Well, now you build that trust that they know, well, if you can color your own hair and you wear a relaxer and you still have hair, they trust you to do the same to them, whether they have a relaxer or not. But I would definitely say it has shaped my career. Being that I've changed from working in the private sector to being able to be your own person, be your own boss, run your own business. I'm basically my own marketing, right? I'm a walking
Mm-hmm.
advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's the most I can say it has shaped my lifestyle now.
Yeah. And I think
Before, I
that's the
feel like
case
it
for
was shaped by what my parents controlled.
yeah, and I think that's the case with most hairstyles. I know I always look at the hairstyles, look at her hair when I was going to one, see
Hmm.
how she was taking care of her hair. And I know my mom took very good care of hers, so I was in good hands. How about you, Siobhan?
I think for me, just being in different sectors too, because I've been in like private and public and nonprofit as well. I've always probably been the only African American,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, or one of few. I'll say that for sure. But I've always been a person who's changed my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't care what people would say. So for me, it's just like, hey, I have braids today, but under this, I did a short haircut,
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So for me, it's just like being comfortable within myself. And then whatever hairstyle that doesn't define who I am as a person. It's just
Mm-hmm.
hair for me. And I remember as a kid, I dislike, telling the women in the salon, "Hey, just trim my ends," because they would really like cut my hair,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
would be crying after because I'm like, "You just cut my hair," and now you can just cut it off. I could care less in a sense,
Right.
but I think, and I know this could probably be one of your questions later, but like the way society puts it, that you have to have long hair,
Right.
and you don't. You can be just who you are, and again,
Mm-hmm.
just hair doesn't define you. So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
feel my journey has been through my life.
Yeah. Thais.
Yeah, I think for me, because I have a bald head, I attract a lot of women who have bald heads. So anywhere I go, when I encounter a woman with a bald head, or she sees me from across the room, she'll point to her head and be like, "Yo, I like how it looks," or they'll give me affirmations. Say, "Hey, you look good. Hey, you rocking that bald head, sis. I love it." I get tons of compliments from men, old and young.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm rocking, I have about 13 pair of glasses, different glasses.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
with the
like
bald
me.
head, I have different
Yeah.
glasses. I have different earrings. So on any given day, somebody is saying something really nice. And so I think it made me a little more bold, a little more bolder, and a little more confident in wearing the bald head. When I had hair, it was flowing and it was shaking and bouncing and behaving.
Mm-hmm.
And, that made me feel good. But when I lost my hair, and then I got alopecia, I didn't feel good about that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to just come into my own with it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've met so many women with bald heads,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of find your tribe. So
Yeah.
I am on different Facebook groups with bald head women and bald boss babes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we get together and we hang out and we do stuff, and so I think you have to also find your tribe, especially
Mm-hmm.
if you're bald headed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to feel that confidence and to feel good about yourself and say, hey, I can rock this baldie better than a man can rock this baldie,
Mm-hmm.
and I look damn good.
Mm-hmm. And I know Gita, who was supposed to be on, she had something come up that she had to be out of town. But she came out probably within the last year about her alopecia and having to cut off all her hair. And it is a journey because as we, you know, if you grew up in a Black family, in a religious family, I know my mom, they always talked about us having, our hair was our glory, right? And you don't cut your hair at all, right? You just don't cut your hair. So, culturally, I know I grew up with that in my hair. I know even when I decided to lock my hair, and for me, in terms of what the journey has taught me about myself, is that I could do a lot of different things with my hair, right? Which I really wasn't really focusing on before. But I also learned that um, I was a trendsetter and a role model, especially being in HR, for other African Americans who worked in my corporation. Because when I decided to lock my hair, I had a lot of them come into my office, people lower in the organization, and like, Miss Michelle, I didn't know we can wear our hair this way. And I'm like, well, we didn't have a hair policy at that time. Right. And I'm like, this is my natural hair. Right. But we all know that all organizations, corporations, institutions are not accepting of our hair. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But let's talk about, because I feel, and maybe Shannon, you can talk a little bit about this in terms of your experience working with women who losing their hair. What advice, or what advice would you give to someone who is in the process? Because I think and there's different reasons why people lose their hair, right? Alopecia is one. Um, but even some of the styles, if we're not careful, can cause us to to um to lose our hair, right? So talk a little bit about that. I want to make sure I'm using the right
So,
terminology. So
oh, that's okay. So
mhm,
yeah, alopecia can come from autoimmune, which would be your inner body, maybe being vitamin D deficient, your magnesium. So if it's that case, we recommend you go see your primary care. That way you can get your levels tested, and that sometimes can be fixed if we find the right combination of vitamins or minerals that we're lacking. We up those levels and then match it with your hydration with drinking plenty of water, intake from your leafy vegetables that can give you protein that you need. And then also, strangely enough, getting vitamin D from outside in the sunlight. When
mhm,
we cover our hair so much, we're covering the follicles, it needs sunlight at some point. Your scalp needs to breathe. So if for those ladies who are still wearing wigs and they're not comfortable to embrace it just yet, the hair loss, wearing wigs is fine. It's completely okay. But you have to put in that rotation somewhere so the scalp can breathe. All right. If we're
yeah,
wearing them, even with commercial hair, if we're wearing commercial hair for weeks at a time, we have to incorporate in there where that scalp can breathe. If it's an take anti-inflammatories. Now they have topicals, like we have shampoos and conditioners that have your lemongrass and other ingredients that calm down the inflammation that
mhm,
aids in alopecia.
mhm,
For women who are getting traction alopecia, which is purely tension, we have to change the way we think about a hairstyle. Does it have to be so tight? It doesn't have to be tight to be cute all the time, right? We
right,
can give the illusion that it's tight, with certain edge controls, or straighten the hair with a product that gives a beautiful shine. It looks tight, but it doesn't need to be that much tension, because we're, 6 months to a year down the road, we're going to cause problems, right?
right,
And then, you have the good old genetics where if dad has it, granddad had it,
yeah.
we're probably going to have it. We can slow it down, but sometimes it's just in our DNA.
Yeah, and I know that happened with my one of my cousins on the women's side. They had female baldness, alopecia, right? And I remember when she locked her hair, and she was my catalyst for locking my hair, because I was like, okay, I don't know what kind of hairstyle I want to wear my hair um in its natural state. But when I saw her with her locks, it's like, okay, that's something I could do. And later her hair just started, falling, and the bald pattern just runs on that side of the family. Right. So, But there's, to your point, there's ways to take care of it. Make sure that you're taking care of your hair, even in that state. And I didn't realize how much water played in the whole, intake of water plays it. When I don't drink enough water, my hair just feels tight and
Your
stiff.
scalp, your skin, and everything will be
Yeah, did
hydrated.
not
You will
realize
see a
it.
huge difference when you take in
Mhm.
proper amount of water.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So, can you share a time when your hair affected how you were perceived? Anybody have a story in terms of your hair having an impact on how you were perceived?
Sure, I can speak to that.
Okay.
Since I've been bullheaded, some people have said I'm unapproachable.
Mm.
Because I look serious. I have this bald head. I may be a mean girl. I've gotten that too. Just maybe because how my face is looking, because I'm serious. Until people start to get to know me, and like, you're not even the person that I thought you were, right? I think sometimes people, we all watch Wakanda, right? We love the women. They had bald heads. It was like power on the screen, right? But some of them women almost looked unapproachable, right? Strong Black women, you shouldn't really approach them. You shouldn't. You don't know how they're gonna take a comment or a conversation. So I've gotten that from some people. It doesn't really, I always say that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Right.
But I have gotten those kind of comments until people start really talking to him, be like, "Hey, you're nothing like what I thought you were," because of the bald head. So yeah, that's probably a perception that I've gotten.
Yeah. Siobhan, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I think for me, it's more of like, it's always a shock factor, like, oh, you cut your hair. So again, I had the perm when I was in high school, continued my perm in college. When I moved to Indiana, I was like, okay, I want to go back to my natural hair. So I tried to pretty much, you grow out your natural, but you still got your permed ends. And then one day I was just like, I'm over this. And I cut off all the permed hair. And I had this short little afro. And I thought it was the cutest thing in the world for sure. And I just grew out my hair. And then I don't even know how many years that was. I've been in Indiana for 14 years. So let's just say 5 years, I grew out my hair and ended up having a huge afro. And then I got tired of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to cut it into a diva cup. And everybody was like, what? You cut your hair? So it's always like this wow factor. And I'm like, again, it's just hair. So then I had the diva cut. I think I rocked that for like 2 to 3 years. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to grow it out again so I can get locks. And I had locks for 7 years and recently cut it off for my birthday in June because I was like, you know what? I just want something different. I'm turning this new age. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. And I'm going to just cut it all off. And now here I am, a couple of months later after June, growing my hair back out again because I want to go back to my afro and my, Bantu knots and everything. So just always is this just a wow factor in a sense of like, okay, you took this long to grow out your hair, but now you're cutting it off again. And I think that is also just goes back to my one word of being, just letting it be an evolution of like who I am as a person. So
Yeah. Shannon, how about you?
I would say for people that don't know you, they don't know anything about my background. I have been approached as your, I hate to say this, but your typical hairstylist, right? So
Okay.
people don't necessarily have a high opinion of hairstylists, right? They think it's a hobby. They think, something you do for fun. When they realize, they hear me speak, we talk, or they come in, they realize I'm actually about my business. I'm not, you know,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
but I have been put in that category until they learn more about me. I think
Yeah. And I think I
that's the
have
most
an
frequent.
appreciation for what you do because of my mom.
Mhm.
She's a cosmetologist as well, right? Hairstylist. I think for me, it was funny because I remember people had saw me with my hair straight for so long that when I decided to lock my hair, they were like, "What's up with you?" Why'd you decide to do that? What's going on? And it's like, I just decided I didn't want to wear my hair straight anymore. Right. But I was also going through a lot of stuff at work. And I was just getting ready I had just finished had obtained my master's degree, and then I relocated to North Carolina. So for me, I had a lot of different things going on personally in my life, and I needed a change. And that for me was my change. I would say coming into myself and not really giving a doggone about anybody at that point in time. It was really the start of my journey of accept me for who I am, and I really don't care if you don't. I mean, that really was my lock phase was really my mindset at that point is accept me for who I am. And if you can't, I really don't care. Right. The funny thing is when I cut my hair, I think people thought there was something wrong. Right. Oh, Michelle, you okay? You got cancer? Well, what's going on? I'm like, no, I decided to cut my hair. I didn't care anymore. Right. And a lot of it was for ease. But like I said, it just, for me, it was more a lifestyle change for me in terms of just wanting simplicity. And that's where I am with my life now. Everything has to be simple, right? If I have to spend too much time in my hair and do all that, it ain't going to work for me, right? So let's talk about the cultural piece. We kind of talked a little bit about that earlier, but the cultural influence on your hair and your relationship with your hair. Can you talk a little bit about that? So growing up, African American community, anybody influenced
So
I
because
I
of what you did
think,
with your hair?
go
Go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I would say it was interesting. So in college, I actually had like a side hustle. So I would do people's hair because they saw how I did my hair.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to school for it or anything, but I just like
Mm-hmm.
watched my beautician. So I had a roller set, I had the hair dryer, I had everything. Not the hot comb, flat iron. There we go. Blow
Mm-hmm.
dryer, everything. So people would see me do my hair in the bathroom. And they're like, "Oh, can you do my hair?" And I was like, "Oh, I just know how to do my hair." But hey, I'll work it out. And I even learned how to do my own touch ups because I will wait uh, only when we have breaks from off of school. So you got your spring break, your winter break, Thanksgiving break. I would go home and get my touch up. And I'm like, I could just do this myself. I just see her in the mirror. She do the part, put the grease or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then touch it up. I learned to do it myself. And then I did others as well. They still got their hair though. So I was like, don't blame
Nobody
me.
lost their hair. There were no victims.
I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
licensed, okay? You put
Yeah.
in your trust in me. And I remember, like, I had a friend who did a flyer. It was called Vonnie's Hair Salon, and I had hours that you could come. You had to make an appointment. I was
Okay.
trying to be official, but it was just like I wasn't charging. It was like $10.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was just like because people would see how I took care of my hair. And also when you go to college, you may not know what to do, especially if you go away. It's just like, okay, well, I know I always went to this hair salon as a kid or, growing up, but who's going to do that for me now? And when you go
Mm-hmm.
to a different city, growing up in New York City and then going to Buffalo, it wasn't a lot of hair salons that I could go to. So I was just like, I have to learn how to do it
Mm-hmm.
myself and
Or,
keep
or
it
or
up.
Siobhan, we didn't have the money.
That part, yeah. Didn't have the money. That's why I
Yeah.
had two
Yeah.
dryers and all my rollers and the hair clips and everything. And I think that just provided me a more sense of, I don't want to say security, but more of like being comfortable within myself and my
Mm-hmm.
hair. And then
Mm-hmm.
others wanted me to do their hair. I didn't braid. It was just
Mm-hmm.
literally wash and set. That's all you
Okay.
got. That's
Okay.
all I can
Okay.
do. But it just gave me the more confidence that someone knows so that I can, give
Mm-hmm.
that I just
Mm-hmm.
lost the word that I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, that I could do their hair. We're just going to say
Okay.
that.
Okay. Shannon, you gonna say something?
I was saying, like, yeah, the culture that I was raised in, of course. I think my mom's generation was, um, they embraced the curly, natural texture of hair. But by the time she had us as children, she didn't want us to have that, right? She wanted us to fit the quote unquote, whatever the status was. So she brought us to the salon. If she couldn't, she would have one of our cousins, cornrow our hair. So our hair was literally always done. Probably
Yeah.
because I don't know if she knew how, but that was something that was really important with her, was to keep your hair groomed. And
Yes.
she called it being presentable. That's just what she called it. So when I went to college, similar to Siobhan, I was doing hair in college, but I also knew I already wanted to be a hairstylist.
Right.
So I was doing it all too, and braids. So I was doing the relaxers, doing the braids. I just, I don't know. And then doing, as she said, doing your own hair. People see you and they see how your hair looks. It draws that support for you. That was a little side hustle for me, during college. And when my allowance had run out, I'm doing heads to get that extra weekend money. And I feel like our culture in general, I hate that we've been molded into having to fit the straight long hair narrative. I
Say more
really
about
wish,
that.
say it again.
Say more about that.
I don't know if you guys watch the news often. I really pay attention to the news more now just for the weather. But have you guys noticed there are women, black women, on the news with wavy texture hair, volume to their hair. They're no longer wearing just straight
Yeah.
layered, loose
Yeah.
curl hair. And I am so in love with that
Yeah.
because I feel like we shouldn't have never been punished for wearing our hair the way it
Yeah.
naturally grows from our body. No other
Yeah.
culture has been punished for that. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of it, I want to believe a lot of it is ignorance because people just don't understand our hair, right? And we have been wearing our hair straight for so long. A lot of times, again, because it was easy, right? If I think about
yes.
people who decided to straighten their hair, it was easy, and some of it was, style. Some people liked straight hair, but for the most part, it just was easier to take care of, right? Um, but yeah, I have noticed that, Shannon, as well, and love it. Love the seeing the women who decide to cut off all their hair as well. I mean, women are speaking up about having alopecia, Thais, right? I know there's a someone in Congress. I forgot her name is escapes me, but I remember when she showed up, and now she shows up in Congress with her bald head, and I'm just like, thank you, right? Because there are women who have suffered with their hair. So people need to understand, we're beautiful no matter how we wear our hair, right? It's not about our hairstyle. But Thais, culturally impact for
Yeah,
you?
I think culturally we have to look at one time we didn't have any representation, right, of us on TV, in the movies.
Yes.
Everything was Eurocentric, right?
Yeah.
Long hair, blonde hair, red long straight hair. Everything that was beautiful was Eurocentric.
Right.
So even now when I see some of my students and they have on, they wear wigs and they wear weaves, they look very Eurocentric, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is, it still is to some degree the standard of beauty,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, as a culture of Black women, we've kind of embraced that.
Mm-hmm.
For us to look beautiful and feel beautiful and be beautiful, we have to fit this Eurocentric box. And that's not necessarily the case when we can do anything and everything with our hair, right?
Yeah.
With or without a wig. And so I think Shannon made a point when she said, I guess your mom said you had to look presentable. And so growing up in the African American community, you had to look presentable, right? Because now we have to work 2 or 3 times as hard as our white counterpart. We have to be twice as good, twice as better. And so presentable meant your hair had to look a certain kind of way. And so
Mm-hmm.
I used to work in corporate America. I had a perm.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have natural hair. I had a perm. My hair was long. I wore it
Right.
in a bob. I had curls, but it wasn't in its natural state because
Mm-hmm.
I knew I'm dealing with this group of people, and that they're going to look at me a certain kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
right? First, they're going to look at what I look like. They're going to look like how do I speak? You get that. Oh, you're so articulate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's an insult.
Right.
It's
Right.
really an insult.
Yeah.
Um, And so that looking presentable, I think that has kind of stuck with us as an African American community. But you know, at this point, we're coming to in our own. Like, you're gonna take this natural hair, you're gonna take this bald head, you're gonna take this weave, these braids, these locks, these Bantu knots, and you're gonna like it, or you're just gonna have to get used to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
at this point, and I'm, you know, I follow a lot of different schools that have been kicking people out of school because the hair is natural, they get suspended, they can't go to prom, they can't go to graduation. I think that's atrocity right now that we, like Shannon said, we're being punished for our own natural hair, and no other culture gets punished. People can wear a hijab, people can wear a turban, people can, you know, put on a certain kind of hat because of your religion, and there's no issue with that. But when it comes to us as African American people, there's always an issue with our hair, because our hair is also a form of expression.
Yeah. And it's funny because for me, going from straight hair to locks, of course, at that time they called it dreadlocks, right? But I wore my hair very, very neat. Mine wasn't free formed, right? And I remember when I decided to move to North Carolina, my mother was like, "Are you sure? You sure you want to go to North Carolina with those locks?" And I was like, I mean, it's my hair, right? And if I can't find a company that will hire me because of my hair, then that's not the company for me. And then I started seeing more and more people here in North Carolina who were wearing locks. So, and my hair, it almost looked like they were braids. A lot of people thought they were braids. It's like, no, they're just very, very small locks. But it's funny, Thais, as you mentioned, that we had a sorority sister who just posted probably about a week or two ago about her son. The teacher wrote a letter, and they basically said, you know, no braids, no twists, no locks, no. I mean, really, I mean, everything that we as a culture, you know, we have worn, how we have worn our hair. And a lot of times it's protective. A lot of times for parents it's easy, right? Um, and she fought it. So North Carolina is not one of those states where the Crown Act, which stands for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair, right? So that's the act that was passed 2019, I want to say, but every state doesn't embrace it. What I found out here in North Carolina is that the Wake County school system has adopted it, but not the private schools, right? But here you have a mother who stood up for her son. She brought it to their attention, and they backed down about it. Because I mean, think about it. To your point, who else gets discriminated because of how they wear their hair, right? Now what I would say is, I know working in HR for the companies that I work for, you know, if you colored your hair, if your hair was really kind of colorful, people had comments about it, right? Have we fired anybody for wearing colorful hair? No, right? Did the person get promoted because they had colorful hair? Hey, manager would never tell me if they didn't promote the person because of their hair, right? So you never know how you're going to be perceived and what impact it's going to have um on you. But yeah, it's a shame when we are one of the cultures that get impacted negatively because of wearing our hair in ways that for a lot of us it's a protective style, right? So Shannon, do you want to say anything about that at all? Any more about that? Because you kind of alluded to that
I
earlier.
think I'm just disappointed in the fact that we have to have a law passed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a sad day when we do. We do.
So
Yeah.
Michelle, that representative you was talking about is Ayanna Presley.
Yes.
Yes, he's been very bold and saying, listen, I have alopecia, I have this bald head, I'm gonna take this wig off, and I'm gonna show up every time And she looks fabulous every time.
She does. She does.
She looks fabulous every time, but she doesn't let that stop her from doing what she needs to do, and and representing women who have bald heads and who have alopecia. So I can really appreciate her stand on saying, "Hey, you're not gonna pigeonhole me into how you think I should look. This is how I look, and this is what it is, and you're gonna have to accept it."
Yeah, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, how someone wears their hair has nothing to do with their abilities, capabilities, talent, what they bring to the table, their expertise, right? Which is really, from a job perspective, that's what we should be judged on, right? And schools, my God, those poor babies. I'm like, is it really distracting you to the point where you're saying the kid can't come back to school or graduate or anything else? I mean, yeah. So, um, let's just two more areas I just want to talk about. Your self-acceptance in terms of your hair. When did that start for you?
I think for me, it started in middle school. That's when I started to, of course, do my own hair, learn
Mhm.
different techniques of what I liked and what I didn't like,
Mhm.
and just embracing what I had to work with. My hair has always
Mhm.
been fine, really thin. So I had to, maybe give myself a little more curl if I wanted mine to be fuller and looking like everybody else's. But I didn't never had that full thick head of hair, right?
Mhm.
So I think about middle school, seventh to eighth grade is when I started to embrace my hair.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think for me, I didn't truly probably accept my hair until graduate school, to be honest, because as a kid growing up, you're the only kid with an afro puff or two afro puffs or afro, and everyone else has straight hair.
Mhm.
And I just, ooh, no, I'm not going to date myself. I'm going to date my mom because she would,
Okay.
instead of using pink rollers, she would use the
Mm.
brown paper bag.
Oh God.
The
Yeah, I know
brown,
about
you
that.
roll it up and then you
Mhm.
roll your hair and my curls will be like right here, okay, stuck to my head. But let me tell you, them curls lasted, okay? And these are things that like I appreciate now, but as a
Mhm.
kid growing up, I'm like, why I gotta go outside with these tight curls looking real crazy?
Mhm.
Because you're comparing yourself again, not only to society, but your peers. And I feel like once I went to graduate school and like I cut off my hair into an afro, I was just like, who cares? Like no one cares. So like I had to learn how to embrace that. And then just going through the other changes of like getting locks
Mhm.
and then cutting it off again, kind of
Mhm.
things like
Mhm.
that. It just took a while because I didn't appreciate it as a kid, but now being older, I see why my mom did that and I
Mhm.
thank her for that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. The pink rollers, I probably still have some somewhere.
Wee.
They're hidden
And the brown
somewhere.
paper bag. I remember those
Right.
days too.
I think for me, it was probably sixth grade because I took a school picture and I had that mushroom hairstyle.
Okay.
And my mushroom was so like it was tight and it was long and them curls, like my grandmother really did her thing. And I took that
Mhm.
picture and I looked at everybody like, yeah, like your mushrooming like my mushroom. And I think for me, it just happened in stages, like, middle school, I was rocking the ponytail and the puffs, but that was the thing, right? We had the Latigua shirts and the Levi jeans or the Lee
Mhm.
jeans. And
Mhm.
so, all the hairstyles that were in style, I had them. My grandma
Mhm.
was a beautician, so it kind of made it easy for me. I think it
Mhm.
just mainly started in high school when I wanted that perm.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of when, I was feeling myself because the hair
Yeah.
was flowing. And
Yeah.
then, my grandmother wouldn't do my hair anymore. And then I found the Dominicans and I was really feeling myself,
Mhm.
even though they fried my head, but
Yeah.
my hair was flowing and I was cute, So I think it's
Yeah.
just embracing in stages. I
Mhm.
think that's what happened for me in this stages. And now just having a bald head, I'm just like, well, this is just another stage.
Yeah. And you look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you, man.
Again, once again. Shannon, how about you?
Oh yeah, I said like middle school. So
Yeah.
that's when I started to embrace maybe seventh grade, I think, doing my own
Yeah.
hair. And then Y'all remember the brat back in the day? She had the twist
Yeah, yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
So remember, I had the relaxer, so I would twist my hair, even though it wasn't as full and puffy, but I love that hairstyle. So I would wear that and then do the half up, half down.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a special occasion or what have you, my mom would of course take us to the salon. You get whatever, what was he called? Pin curls or
Yeah.
what was the other? Oh, French rolls. They're coming back, by the way. French rolls are coming back.
Okay.
So
Look, I don't think
I
I'll
would
be
say
doing it, but
embrace it.
okay.
Right, right, right. And
Yeah.
then now, since being a stylist, I think I'm a second phase of embracing it even more because I'm bold enough to do. I've come away from the relaxer. I'm doing the natural now, and I'm loving it. I love the
Yeah.
versatility of it. All the things we can do. It's a whole new world for me.
Yeah. And for me, I think when I really started embracing my hair was when I locked my hair. I really wasn't thinking about my hair beforehand. It was just, like I said, it was just easy. But really embracing my hair and all the beauty of it was when I locked my hair. So last word, we may have a young lady who's struggling with her hair and not feeling good about the hair. What advice would you give her? Who wants to start? And I know this wasn't a
I
question
think,
I sent y'all beforehand to
yeah,
think
I was
about.
gonna say, I think the first step would be one, you have to figure out how to embrace it and what does that look like for you. But
Mhm,
probably investing in the right products. All throughout the
mhm.
years, I've changed products all the time. But I
Yeah.
am faithful to Trader Joe's shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah.
I've used it for like 14 years now and I'm not changing it, even though I've looked at other products, but that has worked
Mhm,
for me.
mhm.
Um, so I think that's the first thing is find out what products work best for you, and it might be trial and error. That doesn't mean buy everything because it's
Mhm.
expensive buying products for sure. But figuring out one what your hair texture is, and then how do you embrace that, and then finding the right products.
Yeah. Anyone else? Thais, what advice would you
Uh,
give?
Go ahead.
Sure. I would say start a journal,
Mhm.
and because you're gonna have some feelings, right? About your hair. I don't know if this person has alopecia, the person is bald, the person has cancer, the hair fell out, tension. So start a journal. It's like keep a hair journal.
Mhm,
Keep a hair journal and write your feelings about it, and then kind of figure out what do you want to do with it. And then
mhm,
so whatever you want to do with it, just do it.
mhm.
Talk to people, find a good stylist, cut it all off, start like a real short buzz cut, start over. It's okay to start over. That's what I
Yeah,
tell myself. It is
yeah.
okay to start over because when my hair fell out, I had to start over. I had to kind of figure out what was I going to do. And then
Mhm,
when I figured it all out that your hair is going to grow in patches,
mhm,
I'm not going to be looking like crazy, like
mhm, mhm.
Boogie the Clown. I'm just not going to do that. So I just have
Right.
to be bold. So keep a journal, write your feelings. It is really okay to feel all of those feels. Like I tell my students, your feelings are valid, your
Mhm,
emotions are valid, and then figure out what do you want to do with your hair and just do it. Just
mhm,
take a leap of faith and just do it. If you want to color it, do it. You want to color, want to go bald, do it. And then when you
mhm,
do it, embrace it. Go get you some cute earrings. Go get you some lashes.
mhm.
Go get you a proper lipstick or some lip gloss and
Mhm.
hold your head up. And you're gonna be just as fabulous because you're more than enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Thais. Shannon.
So I would say piggyback on both Siobhan and Miss Thais. Those are what like absolutely wonderful ideas. I'm gonna start the borrow your journal idea. And I would
Mhm.
add to that while you're writing your feelings, also write what's going on in your life during that same time frame. Okay, because sometimes stress from things we're going through that affects our hair. It might not be in that moment. It can present itself 2 to 3 months later. Your
Yeah.
stress hormones can definitely run your hair. Surgeries, anesthesia. So along, like I would just stress while you
Medications.
write. Yes,
Yeah,
medications,
medications as well. Yeah.
thyroid. Like there are
Mhm.
so many factors into what can affect our hair. So I would add to that, just write down what you're currently going through And if therapy is necessary, go to that so you can learn how to alleviate that stress, right? Go to the gym and work out if necessary. Like she said with hair products, you do have to find what properly works for your hair. Keeping your hair clean, right? Sometimes we wear our styles a little too long, and that aids to, if this person is having a hair struggle, it's simply because we're not cleansing our scalp frequently enough. You know, um, eating the proper things, sleep is very important, right? Our body has a chance to rejuvenate while we rest. If we're cutting, we're only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, that's going to affect our hair also. It's just an abundance. It's like a balance, right? There's a scale. We have to balance all these things, and it comes out in a beautiful head of hair.
Yeah.
That I would tell that person, and no matter what your hair journey is, where you are on your journey, you are enough, right? There's nothing wrong with whatever's going on with you and your hair. It doesn't make you one person better than the other. You have to look in that mirror. What I firmly believe is when they say we're made in God's image, I truly believe that. So no matter what we're going through, you are made in his image. And he doesn't look in that mirror and think he's a mistake or he thinks he's less than. No, he looks in that mirror and he loves who he is. And he loves you just the same. Like I would tell that person, love whatever we're going through, right? And I have several candidates that we have to figure out if their thyroid acts up after about 6 months. We have to now figure out a different style. And I turn them to that mirror and I'm going to give them that pep talk, just the same as when their hair was growing beautifully, that thyroid acts up and it breaks off. I'm going to turn them to that mirror and talk to them just the same. You're still beautiful. We're just going to have to change this hairstyle a little bit.
Yeah.
So I would stress loving yourself is very important.
Yeah. And that's why I do like the song. When I really listen to the lyrics of the song, I Am Not Your Hair, that is what she's saying, right? It really is. We are not our hair. There's so much more to us than just our hair. And sometimes we just have to be reminded of that, right? And on that note, ladies, I'm going to put you in the green room. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shannon, for those people who are in the North Carolina area, where are you located? Tell people where you're located.
Okay, so I'm in Midtown, what they call Midtown Raleigh now. I just recently learned that. Six Forks Road. I'm at 6512 Six Forks. It's called Pembroke Square. It's easily accessible from 440, also easily accessible from 540. So if you're coming from Durham area or up west, you would take 540. If you're right here around Raleigh, 440 is very easy to access.
Yeah, and she's excellent and so easy to work with. I
Thank you.
appreciate you. I appreciate
Thank you.
Ladies, thank you so much. I'm going to put you in the green room as I close out this episode of Real Conversations. Y'all can just wait for me. I'll be right with you. But thank y'all for joining. Our first episode in the Sister Chat series was Life After 50. And I started a circle for women over 50 who just need a place to vent and talk and learn and grow. So we're going to try to meet monthly is the goal. So if you're interested in that, please go to my Facebook page. I will make sure I include the link when I send my thank you message out. But our next meeting is December 12th. This session, I Am Not My Hair, I just thought it was a topic to talk about because African American women, y'all know we go through some things with our hair. But at the end of the day, it's about who we are on the inside, right? It's not about what we look like in terms of our hair. And of course, we want to be beautiful no matter what we do, but just making sure you're taking care of your hair as well. So I like the fact that Shannon added some tips in there in terms of just things to watch out for. Thais also mentioned that as well. The last episode of this series, Sister Chat series, is going to be about, I think I'm going to title it, What I Would Tell My Younger Self. And I have some great guests who are going to be joining me. I would say it's going to be targeted for those 40s and 30s, right? There's things that we learn as we get older. And I thought this would be a good topic to just think about. Hindsight's always 2020, but thought it would be a good topic for us to talk about. So that'll wrap up our series, this series. on December 19th. So expect the flyer to come out soon. Y'all have a great rest of the week and weekend. And happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Be safe. Enjoy the time with your families. And we'll see you soon. Bye.